Hello and welcome to B-Rad Builds. Today on the video we're making Homelander. Now like me, I'm sure you enjoyed season 2 of The Boys during lockdown, and I was really impressed with the story arc that they gave him, so I decided to make him in the B-Rad Build series. Now I wasn't going to attempt Anthony Starr as I am not very good at likeness, so I wanted to make my own version. So I had a look online and I found these 3 cool images of Homelander. One by Raf Grassetti, and this one by B-Rad Builds, and this one by Joshua Upshaw. Now combined with the one from the comic, the TV show version, and these images, I was going to make my own version. Now on with the video. But first, I want to talk about today's sponsor, 8 Albums. This is a website where music fans are asked to write about 8 albums that are important to them and why. This is a great place to discover new music, rediscover old favourites, and find out how music impacts people's lives. New content released every Friday, and there's a unique Spotify playlist for each entry. All entries can be found at www.8albums.co.uk. Check out the site and join the conversation today. So today I'm starting with this basemesh that I got from ArtStation from an artist called Pablo Perdomo. I'm sure I'm butchering your surname, so sorry about that, but there is a link in the description, so if you want to use it, check it out there. Now this basemesh is it's quite a slim build, so at the start of this I was really trying to thicken it out and really making it look like this very athletic, build, like almost inhuman. You can see I've got some reference off to the side. This is sort of the look I'm going for with the physique. Now at this stage I'm not sure exactly what it is going to be looking like. I'm just looking at my reference, I'm just sort of going with the flow and just sort of changing different spots as I see fit. I use a technique of like really over carving into the model and then softening it all back. I do this a lot, especially when I don't have direct reference that I'm following. Now this is really only going to be this sort of like underlying model. I'm actually going to use cloth to do the suit, which is going to cover most of the body. So this is really only going to be sort of a template mannequin that I'm going to use to project the cloth on top of. But as it's skin tight, I really want to make sure that the form of the body is correct, and he has this sort of like really athletic build. Now onto the face. Again, I don't really know exactly what he's going to look like. I know I want this sort of like wide jaw, comic style hero look, then to have this sort of sinister overtones to him as well. So I wanted to make a grin, like this maniacal grin. Actually doesn't come out too great in this first pass, but I fix it up later on. Just a few small adjustments just to make sure that the proportions are correct. And everything is finished. Now over to Marvelous Designer. This is truly one of my favourite parts of the whole process. I'm basically going to simulate the cloth for the suit. So I start off with this sort of like trousers and vest combination, jumpsuit type thing. So just go through and adjust to make sure it fits him correctly. I'm going to get this arm attached. Copy it onto the other side. There we go. Right, so we've got the full suit now. Just gonna make it a little bit bigger and adjust that. Now for the cape. Gonna add the belt now. Onto the boots. Now I like to do this technique where I simulate the cloth for the top part of the boot, where there's actually going to be some wrinkles, and the bottom part I will leave as the sculpted base mesh, and then in ZBrush I'll blend them together. I realise his boot's probably a bit too wrinkly. Looks more like a lady's boot at the moment, but I'll adjust that later on. The other side. Now onto the gloves. Now I use these gloves that I found on ArtStation. There's a link in the description. I use these to sort of like give me a base mesh for the fingers, and then I adjust them quite heavily to get them to fit. Into the collar, last little piece. And there we go. Now over to Mixamo to get him posed up. I love this software. It's a free tool, great place to get yourself your characters rigged and skinned. Now I've been watching Raised by Wolves, and I really loved the pose that Mother goes into when she goes into a death droid pose. And I was thinking I'm gonna add that into my Homelander. So yeah, see him trying to go for that state. Now back over to ZBrush, where I'm going to clean up the pose, adjust those muscle groups to make sure that they're in the correct place. Mixamo does a really good job of doing the general form, but under the arms and between the legs it often messes up. So I'm also going to separate the mesh a little bit, help with the simulation. And back over to Marvelous Designer, where I'm going to simulate the cloth for the final pose. Do some adjustments on the belt, and I'm going to adjust the cape to make sure that it's in a nice shape. Here we go. Back over to ZBrush for the final cleanup. Now let's fix that horrible face grin. Before really heavy carves in and soften back. There we go, so we can load that. As you go here, see I'm adjusting that top part to blend in with the bottom part. Nice underarm form. Now for the shoulder pad. I didn't really know what I was after. I did really like the Dread shoulder armor from the Stallone movie. So yeah, that kind of like informed this a little bit. On the shoulder. Copy on the other side. Let's get that nice little trim. Now let's get this hair sculpted. So I select out a piece from the head, extrude it out, sculpt on top of it. Then I use some hair curve brushes. These are sort of like splines I can draw onto the object, and they help me create these sort of like cartoon hair strands. Sculpt the back of the head very quickly. Now onto the base. I want to go for this sort of like bronze globed look where he's sort of like floating above the earth, but the earth like a bronze statue with the name Homelander in it. I found a height map of the world and got the UVs to be correct so I can map the right part that I wanted. Ready to be projected in ZBrush. There we go. Now over to the G2 box to get him sliced up and ready for printing. All the supports have been removed. Haven't sanded it down yet, but I'm pretty happy with that. It's pretty cool. Just waiting for the boots and the cape to be printed. Now I did go through and paint this model before, and it came out a bit muddy, so I decided to re-record and repaint. It was okay, but I thought I could do better. There we go. Managed to preserve quite a lot of the detail, considering I'd had a couple of layers of paint on there, still looking pretty sharp. Now I have a load of issues with my airbrush in the past, so I'll make sure that there's some really good airbrush maintenance. Now let's get it painted. There's some white, some thinner, and some flow. So they're all highlights. This is a technique that people who paint Warhammer miniatures use to sort of like define their models at the start. Essentially I'm using a white top-down spray to kind of help define all the shapes. Do the same for the hands. Into the head. Now onto the body. We used 3 blues to help with 3 different tones. We use the mid one for the base. You can already tell this has got a much punchier colour scheme than I had on the previous model. It's pretty much all covered. Now I'm going to turn it over, and you can see that there's still quite a lot of the black showing through, which is good, and it helps define the shape. I'm going to use this deep blue to sort of like remove the black and give it some more punchy colours. Now I do the same with the light blue from the top to give it that sort of punchy colour from the top. Now onto the gloves. Start with a deep red. This actually takes so many layers to get correct. There's a lot of painting to get these first base coats done. Now I've got to do the same for the boots, but I have to mask off the boots. Same again, quite a few layers to get over the blue. I'm going to use some bit of pure red, top down, giving that sort of nice punchy colour from the top, and highlight it. Same for the boots. Make sure I'm painting from the top down. Bit of time. Today I'm having a local Manchester brewery called ABC. They've got their Juice Springsteen Deluxe. There's some awesome can art by another local Manchester guy called Hammo. Now onto the gold pieces. I've got to mask off all the trim and the gold parts. Start from the belt. I really like painting these gold sections. They're a lot of fun, especially when it's through the airbrush. It comes out really nice. Really nice. Now let's get rid of all that masking tape. Be careful, not going to pull away any of the paint. Which I did in a few spots actually. You can see on the knee. A bit gone. That's pretty good. It definitely tells much better than last time. Onto the base. Again, I want to go for that bronzy sort of gold look. So I use the same gold I use on the character. Get the base of that on. Then I go back and add a black and gold mix into all the grooves to sort of like give this a weathered look. Now I'm going to start dry brushing. Really pop those edges. Such a great technique, really helps pop all those surfaces. Boom, pretty happy with that. Now onto the face. I wanted to use a technique that we use in CG where we paint the different layers of underlying skin, the subdermal layer. The yellow part is the part where the skin goes into the bone. The blue part is where the hair follicles are. And then the red part is the fleshy parts where all the blood vessels go. And then you lay the base color of the skin, base tone, over the top. Now I went a bit too strong with this, and I think I sprayed too much base coat over the top, sort of losing this. I think that's more a factor of my airbrush skills rather than it being anything to do with the technique. I'd like to try it again. Now we're going to add a skin tone wash to the head. Pick out all those details, go back in with a brush and sort of take some away. I'm going to do a bit of dry brushing, pick out those edges. The white highlight on the teeth. And we're going to do some careful brushing with the eyes. And some red in there. Really look like he's about to use his laser vision. Not too bad. I'll have to clean it up a little bit later on. A bit more dry brushing just to highlight that nose. Now onto the hair. Did a base of yellow with a darker brown at the bottom and where the hair comes through. And then I added a rather brighter yellow on top. Fix up those eyes a little bit. Make sure it's nice and neat. And then just a few more touches of yellow on top of the hair just to make a nice gradient. Now onto the cape. I need to be a much better job of painting these. There's some few scuff marks It's okay. Start off by masking out the stars, and I'm going to try and do the cape from the TV show, which has the stars and stripes on it. I end up messing it up quite a bit. I think the mask tape was fine, but I used too many layers of paint too quickly, and the paint bled through. So I had to go back in and touch them up with the paintbrush. So this time I'm going to go doing the red stripes on the bottom part of the cape. I wanted to make sure that I didn't do that again and have nice, clean, crisp lines. Mask off the areas that I want. Now, I'm going to add the red. I did it a lot slower this time. Pressing out some air as well to dry out the paint before I add any more layers on. I'm getting lots and lots of layers. And the moment of truth, did it work? Yay! Nice, clean, crisp lines. Now the last little piece, touch up the gold trim on the gloves. And there we go. Boom. And there we go. Second video down. Again, pretty happy with that. Like the other one, feel like this is the modeling is much better than the painting. Over time, I really hope to get my skills in that much better. The next video is going to be a choice between Dredd or Miles Morales Spider-Man. So please leave a comment which one you'd like to see. I'm undecided at the moment. If you made it this far in the video, maybe worth giving it a like. There's new videos here on the first Monday of each month, so subscribe to keep updated with those. Thanks for watching. This is B-Rad Builds. See you in the next video.